Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hawks Latest, your number one source for news, updates, rumors, opinions, and you guessed it, the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. I'm your host, Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and today we've got a full slate of updates to cover. This is the 96th episode of Hawks Latest presented by Fan Art, so hopefully you guys have been enjoying the content. We are right there at 100, only a few more episodes to go as the season really nears. We are right here, but Patrick Beverley has responded again to Trae Young, and this is probably the last of the beef. I doubt Trae Young's going to even respond back to this because it was absolutely ridiculous what he said. It's one of the strangest player beefs we had in quite some time. It's very random. An NBA All-Star beefing with a career role player. It's interesting. So we're going to break down Beverley's latest comments and the truth and what he didn't say. I mean, what he said that was clearly false about Trae, and then why the narrative around Trae remains so misleading. Just really doesn't paint a full picture of what he's accomplished so far in his career in Atlanta. Then we're going to pivot to a much brighter story. The Hawks have skyrocketed in ESPN's future power rankings following an incredible offseason where they made several moves to push themselves towards the top of the Eastern Conference. We're also going to discuss Dennis Schroeder, the former Hawk, who had some pretty good years with the team. He was Atlanta's lead guard before the Trae Young era started, but he has a surprising case for the Hall of Fame, and we're going to break down why Dennis Schroeder, might be a guy, and it's looking really likely that ends up making the Hall of Fame, not just for his NBA accomplishments, but for what he's done overseas. Then after that, we're going to finish with a look at a potential low-cost roster addition. We've been breaking out a lot of those type of guys as training camp nears, and another one is Delano Banton. It's a very intriguing target, and I'm going to tell you why in the last segment of the video, so make sure you're tuned in for that. But without further ado, let's waste no time and start with Beverley's response. So he is back at it again, and this time Patty Bev's comments are even more outlandish. So Beverley, the three-time all-defensive team member who's known for his trash talk and really not much else, he continued to target Trae Young after Young had responded to Beverley's initial comments with a calm but pointed 12-minute YouTube response to earlier criticism made by Beverley. So in Beverley's newest remarks, he uploaded a video on YouTube in response to Trae's, and he said, quote, "If any other all-star were to say something, I would have let it slide. But you out of all people, you have no room to say anything." He went even further, delivering what he clearly thought was the knockout punch. He said, "Players come, they see you, they get traded. Coaches come, they coach you, they get traded." Coaches can't get traded, but I digress. He said, "GMs come, they govern the team, and then they get fired. Everyone that sees Trae Young gets fired. People are scared to play in Atlanta." I mean, what a dramatic statement that couldn't be more untrue. It's completely false. Players leaving Atlanta weren't shipped off because of Young, although that is the picture that the media likes to paint, and that's what they've been trying to kind of force on all of us ever since Young has come into the league and defeated all of the narratives around him. They've had to create more just so they can continue to criticize him. But they weren't shipped out because of Young. Let's take like John Collins, for example. I mean, in any of these guys, especially the guys on the 2021 Eastern Conference Finals team, what have they done since leaving a Trae Young-led team? Collins has been okay in Utah. He actually had a pretty good underrated season last year, but his first year without Trae Young was pretty rough. And this is a guy who feeds off of lobs. He had the best years of his career in Atlanta. Now, I wish John the best. Great guy, great teammate. I'm really rooting for him going forward. But I mean, you look at other guys. You look at guys like Kevin Huerter, who was the starting two guard in Atlanta's Eastern Conference Finals team. What has Kevin Huerter done since leaving Atlanta? I mean, just look at all of these guys that currently feed off of the lobs. I mean, did feed off of the lobs of Trae Young, the shot creation of Trae Young. Young got these guys paid. They left Atlanta and haven't seen the same career success since. It's an unfair narrative. I mean, then you look at his coaches, because Trae has been labeled a coach killer ever since the first stint with Lloyd Pierce, who was Trae Young's first NBA coach. They didn't necessarily see eye to eye. But look at the head coaches that Trae Young has had before Quinn Snyder. It was him. I mean, it was Lloyd Pierce, it was Nate McMillan, and then now it is Quinn Snyder. They were replaced just because of the situation. Just outside, not even relating to Trae Young. Neither Lloyd Pierce or Nate McMillan have landed another head coaching gig since being in Atlanta. So clearly, these are not guys that people are just like trying to hire, and these are great coaches that have landed another gig and done well. Nate McMillan's been fired everywhere he's been. This is not a new Atlanta thing. This is not a Trae Young thing. Nate McMillan is has been an okay coach for his entire time as a head coach, a respectable guy, someone that is highly respected around the league. Same with Lloyd Pierce, who's a kind of a player's coach. But once again, both of them are assistants. They haven't landed another head coaching gig, and that is for a reason. The schemes aren't built to succeed in today's NBA. That's why Atlanta brought in Quinn Snyder, and Quinn has now been the coach for several seasons. Trae Young hasn't been a coach killer to Quinn Snyder, despite the team's success not being where they want it to be. Quinn Snyder has not been fired because the two have a great relationship. It has been reported several times that Trae and Quinn have an amazing relationship, and that's not going to change anytime soon. I mean, and then you look at the front office changes; those are a product of ownership decisions. I mean, not player interference. Trae Young has nothing to do with any of these, but it's unfair that the national media always paints that picture towards him. I mean, context matters. When you look at a guy like Patrick Beverley, who has spent most of his career with franchises, and now, granted, he's been all around the league. I mean, he's bounced around. He's been everywhere. But most of his career, the years that he spent the most with one single team, were his tenure with the Rockets and his tenure with the Clippers. And both of those teams consistently paired him with stars. And I mean, Beverley was a role player. I mean, he wasn't the main guy on the team. This is a guy who was being carried. But they paired him with stars. They had smart front offices that were building winners, and they were like, okay, maybe let's have a decent defensive guard come off the bench, or maybe start a few games during the season. And they also had veteran head coaches. Beverley has played with guys like LeBron James Harden, all these stars. Trae Young, meanwhile, has carried the Hawks through the years of inconsistent roster building. Definitely, they haven't catered a roster towards him, except for this upcoming season. The best roster ever catered to him before this season was the team that he led to the Eastern Conference Finals. So expect similar output this upcoming season. It's been inconsistent roster building and just organizational missteps. I mean, like the DeJounte Murray trade that they recognized Trae Young needed a co-star, and then they brought in another point guard, which made no sense. Despite that, though, despite all of the outside factors, Trae Young has remained one of the league's premier offensive forces. I mean, coaches disrespect him, players disrespect him, but every single time he's on the floor, coaches will immediately send players to double him as soon as he crosses half court. Sometimes not even until not even before. They double him before he crosses half court. I mean, this is a guy who is a legit offensive threat and has been since entering the NBA. His best co-star right now is Jalen Johnson, and it's the best player he has ever played with, just considering Jalen Johnson's overall impact and what he can do with the ball in his hands. But now he's Kristaps Porzingis, who you can make a compelling argument that Porzingis is now the best player that Trae Young has ever played with. Before that, it was DeJounte Murray, John Collins, and while both are talented, those guys aren't suited as second options. Those are guys that are need to play in a specific role. Atlanta's roster holes were obvious for years, but none of them involved Trae Young because he was carrying those rosters. So with Quinn Snyder, though, who's a proven strategist who once led the Jazz to a top seed in the West, the Hawks have been building kind of a stable system here in Atlanta, and it's finally ready to pop with this new look roster. Beverley's coach killer label doesn't hold up under any sort of test. Just an unfair narrative that the national media has been trying to push on Trae since he entered the NBA 7-8 years ago. I mean, Trae's entering year 8 and looking to have the best season of his career. I honestly expect that out of him, considering the fire that he is playing with a lot on the line, a contract, these unfair narratives. It's going to be an exciting season. So while Beverley, just makes noise off the court, the Atlanta Hawks are quietly earning respect around the league, which is great to see. They've been getting a whole lot of respect and a whole lot of recognition for what they've done this offseason. New general manager Anzi Saleh has completely reshaped Atlanta's outlook. In ESPN's latest 3-year future power rankings reflect that transformation. The Hawks climbed 11 spots from last year, landing at 12th overall. They were at 23rd overall last season because, while they were starting to build towards a better direction, they traded DeJounte Murray for Dyson Daniels. No one really knew exactly what we were getting out of that roster. Now that we saw, guys like Daniels take that leap and become one of the best defensive players we've seen in a very long time. Also, Jalen Johnson, while he was healthy, put up legit all-star numbers, and Onyeka Okongwu kind of flourished as a starting center. It's clear that Atlanta, has the right idea, and they're building towards a championship core in the future. They land at 12th overall, like I said, in that specific ranking. They rank 7th in draft outlook, so definitely at the top of the league there. 9th in financial flexibility, so in a very good spot financially. They were strategic in acquiring these one-year contracts like Kristaps Porzingis and Luke Kennard, just kind of, hoping that these vets can add something this year, and then, if they're a part of the future, that's great. If they're not a part of the future, whatever. It's a, low-risk investment. They're 11th in management and market, which I think is fair, and 14th in player quality, which it's kind of interesting, kind of debatable. I'll talk about that more in a second. This is a significant leap for a team that has been stuck in the play-in for 4 consecutive seasons. I mean, it's been rough here. I mean, but it just shows how great this offseason has been. Saleh's moves, particularly the one on draft night where he fleeced the New Orleans Pelicans once again, they put Atlanta in position to compete now and build for the future. The standout decision from Saleh, like I said, was trading down 10 spots in the draft while still landing the guy that was their guy at 13. I mean, the Hawks were going to take Asa Newell at 13, but then they were able to trade down 10 spots because he fell a little bit for unknown reasons, and acquired an unprotected first-round pick from New Orleans next season, which is the most valuable asset probably in the NBA. The Hawks get the more favorable pick of whether the Pelicans or the Bucks are worse, so that is going to be super valuable. Many analysts have called it one of the best picks to change hands in recent years. The 14th ranking for player quality, like I hinted at earlier, that might be pretty low, to be honest. Atlanta arguably has a top 5 8-man rotation, and that was something that I certainly believe, but we got to at least see these guys prove it. You know what I mean? Like we know what these guys can do on the court, but they've got to stay healthy and they've got to be cohesive on the floor together. One of the best 8-man rotations in the league, though. I mean, and even you can extend that to 9 guys, and you can talk about, guys like Vit Krejci, and you can talk about guys, maybe even a guy like Caleb Houston or any of these guys that they're bringing in and expecting to take another leap. Combine that with the talent with cap flexibility and extra picks, the Hawks are finally positioned to take advantage of Trae Young's prime, which he actually talked about when he was talking about Patrick Beverley and the beef with that. He was saying, I'm not even in my prime yet. This is going to probably be the first year of Trae Young's prime, so I expect a big season out of him. So now let's take a quick look at a former Hawk who's making waves right now. And there's been a lot of talk about him in the national media, which you haven't been able to say that for most of his career, but he's making waves on the international stage. Dennis Schroeder. So a decade ago, few would have imagined Schroeder as a future Hall of Fame candidate. I know I certainly didn't, watching him play in Atlanta. While he was a decent player, never really was that guy who was going to be there for the championship run that we're hoping to make this upcoming season. But after leading Germany to the 2023 FIBA World Cup title and now the 2025 Eurobasket Championship, Germany won that Eurobasket Championship. He won MVP in both tournaments. His case is undeniable. I mean, this is an amazing resume, and you gotta look. This is the Basketball Hall of Fame. This is not the NBA Hall of Fame. So, I mean, if you're talking about basketball on a global stage, Dennis Schroeder should be in the Hall of Fame. Only 6 players in basketball history, I mean, guys like Tony Kukoc and Dirk Nowitzki, and the list goes on, have ever earned MVP honors at both events, and all of them are in the Hall of Fame. So Schroeder's right there with that company. His NBA resume isn't lacking either. I mean, while he's never been a superstar, he's never been a star player, an all-star guy, that resume looks pretty good, the career numbers. He averaged a career-high 19.2 points and 6.2 assists in his final season with the Hawks, which was actually, the year before Trae Young entered the NBA. He finished second in Sixth Man of the Year voting in 2020, so this is a guy who's had pretty good longevity. His career kind of mirrors that of Tony Kukoc in many ways, who made the Hall of Fame largely due to his international dominance, but also the solid career he had in the NBA, winning a few championships. Remember, though, it's the Basketball Hall of Fame, like I said, and not just the NBA Hall of Fame. International achievements certainly matter, and Dennis Schroeder has delivered on the biggest stages outside of the NBA. I mean, there's no denying that. While it may sound silly just like saying it, like Dennis Schroeder, Hall of Famer, when some of these guys in the NBA who have had similar career stats to Schroeder aren't going to make it, they don't have anything near his resume that he has built outside the NBA and international play with Germany. So finally, let's close with a potential roster move to watch. Delano Banton remains unsigned, and while that might be a name that some of y'all are unfamiliar with, but for a team looking to round out its training camp roster, he is an intriguing fit. The Hawks have been bringing in all these guys on Exhibit 10 deals, and I think this is a guy who would make sense to at least give a shot in training camp and see if he can compete with these guys. I mean, this is the Hawks have a few roster spots open, just with these deals, the details of the contracts being reported. I mean, we thought guys like Caleb Houston, N'Faly Dante were certainly guaranteed, but that just wasn't the case, and now they're going to be competing with guys like Kobe Johnson and Charles Bassey for the last few roster spots. Even guys like Keaton Wallace, some of the two-way guys, Jacob Toppin. But Delano Banton could be a guy who fits right into that, and I would like to see the Hawks at least offer him an Exhibit 10 deal, maybe get him a workout with the team. So at 6'9", this is a guard. He's a very oversized guard with defensive versatility. He can fly around the court and flashes of playmaking ability. He hasn't necessarily put it all together in the NBA, but this is a guy with raw potential. For a Hawks team that features small guards like Trae Young and Luke Kennard, I mean, Banton's length could provide a much needed defensive option against bigger backcourts. Now, obviously, none of these guys that Atlanta brings in at this stage in the offseason are going to be big towards their rotation, but you never know. Injuries happen. Teams have to go deep into their depth chart at times to maintain stability in an Eastern Conference, especially towards the middle of the NBA season, where you just can't really make a guess on what's going to happen in the postseason because there's so many things going on. Offensively, though, I mean, he thrives in transition. This is a quick guy. He perfectly matches Atlanta's desire to play fast and space the floor, which is going to look a little different this year now with the addition of Porzingis. They're going to have to slow their play down a little bit, but still, though, this is a team that wants to play with pace. According to NBA insider Mark Stein, who is very reliable, he was actually the first to report the Porzingis to Atlanta deal that really shook up the offseason. Banton has worked out for teams, so I mean, this is a guy who's currently working on his way on a roster. He's worked out with teams like Golden State and Indiana, but he hasn't landed a deal, giving Atlanta an opportunity to kind of swoop in and maybe give him a shot. So bringing him on an Exhibit 10 deal or a minimum contract, something like that, would be a low-cost, high-upside move as training camp approaches. I mean, we're like probably once this video is out, this is probably 10 days until training camp, 10 or 9 days. Not until training camp, until media day, but then training camp gets started right after that. So we are right here. I'm super excited for the season. There's so much to cover, so much to talk about. We're going to be doing it the whole time here on Hawks Latest. So Patrick Beverley can keep throwing verbal jabs, as he does, as he's known for. But the Atlanta Hawks are making real progress where it matters, and Trae Young is obviously included in that. With an upgraded roster, an elite head coach in Quinn Snyder with a proven resume, and a front office that finally has the team's future on track, Hawks star Trae Young has every opportunity to silence critics this season, and I hope he does. We're going to be rooting for him. That's going to be it for today's episode of Hawks Latest. If you enjoyed today's breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update here on the channel. We are going to be pumping out videos every single day, keeping you guys informed on the latest and the greatest regarding the Atlanta Hawks. But let me know in the comments, give me your thoughts on Patrick Beverley's final comments, because I doubt Trae entertains this dumb beef anymore. And also the Hawks' new look roster. Where do you think it ranks among the NBA? And what would your thoughts be on Atlanta bringing in Delano Banton on maybe a short-term deal? Once again, thank you guys for watching. I'm Zach Langley, aka Langley ATL, and I'll see you guys next time.